Hello guys, I love us all. That's why I'm making these videos. I want to talk about time today. I'm seeing time in a different way. I'm seeing time as existing due to my belief that when a memory thought arises, it is from the past. And when a future thought arises, that it is of the future. Whereas what I'm seeing now is when those arise, they're just thought objects. Little blips in the mind. That arise and fall. But they only tend to just rise and fall versus believing them as substantial substance. When I'm identifying the impermanence in things, which just in this second I realized that impermanence is also related to time. In each moment, everything is kind of a death. I don't mean that in any kind of bad way at all, or I simply mean that there's constantly things that are passing away. Which gives rise to the belief in time. It could go either way. If seeing things as impermanent is pieced together in our mind as proof of time, then we experience it as time. But if seeing impermanence is proof in our minds as everything rising and falling within the field of awareness, then we transcend time. So it's really a matter of how our mind pieces the evidence together. I think it pieces it together as evidence of time, at least from my experience of why, because that's how everyone else, that's the general way that humanity has come to interpret the evidence for time. And so I've come to adopt what humanity has come to also adopt. But I think it's been through a growing willingness to live in truth due to, honestly, just being fed up with suffering, any kind of pain. Has encouraged me to drop certain thoughts that I was struggling to uphold and struggling to get others to believe. And when I began to stop trying to get others to believe what I believe, then my attention began to fall from all the spinning thoughts down to more of my immediate experience. And in my immediate experience is the only place that the idea of time starts to disintegrate. Because in my immediate experience is when I see these thoughts and ideas that I was trying to uphold before as substantial, in the immediate experience, they begin to just be seen as rising and falling of phenomenon, rising and falling of objects. In this case, thought objects. And the more that I see that, the more that's identified as truth. And it's identified as truth due to how it feels in my body. So the struggle we go through, the struggle that I've been through, I'm trying to convince others of anything whatsoever, literally has been the suffering and the pain. It's funny because I thought that by convincing others of whatever it was would be my way out of pain. But it's what keeps me in all these thoughts. And when I'm in all those thoughts is when I feel the suffering and I feel the pain and I see how out of alignment that is over extended periods of time of being in it. Again and again, thinking about others, convincing others of a thing, and believing things will be better in the future whenever they understand it, is the belief in time, is the belief in these thoughts being of some substantial nature, them being anything other than just thought objects. again and again, going through that routine, finally, when it never works out, when it never ever works out in the way that you envision it to, then finally you realize that all those thoughts that tell you something will be better in the future, all those thoughts that even talk about the future, are really just blips of energy, thought objects. No different than leaves blowing in the wind. And so then we rest back into the one who sees these thought objects, these objects rise and fall. But we can only have the experience of seeing these things rise and fall when we stop believing in them. And we don't stop believing in them until we've suffered enough from them. Just my experience, guys. I hope this was helpful in some kind of way. At the end of the day, it really is not being attached to or identified with anything, because everything changes. And if you fight it or resist it, then you suffer. And it may be seductive. You may be seduced by the thought into believing that happiness would lie just over there if you could get things right, but alas, that has never been the case in any kind of lasting way. So just examine this for yourself. People can say these things and it can be helpful to hear, but until it's seen for yourself, then it's useless. Alright, guys. I love you all very much, and remember who you are. Alright, you guys. That was this week's video. If you liked it, please subscribe. And if you're interested in more, check out the link below in the description for the online class. Most importantly, remember yourself as the one who sees.